Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Hope you had a great weekend. Well, this morning we're going to be talking about, we're going back to security. It's a perennial subject, as you all know, and it's a long-standing one. It was sort of epitomized a few days ago. That is with the most recent assault, shall we say, and the Arewa Consultative Forum has just called for a total. Some of the people are now identifying, indeed, have had children with the bandits, the robbers, the terrorists, whatever you want to call them, that actually took them. Okay, so now we have another situation, and it's a major one. President Tinubu has ordered the security agencies to do everything to bring all of those students back safe and sound. Well, we hope that they'll be able to comply, but it is a harrowing subject. And going by experience in the past, one the eradication of banditry and terrorism. Is it going to be a perennial event where it happens every now and then, almost at will? It seems almost as will. And the terrifying thing about this is that it wasn't a 2-3 minute affair. According to news reports, they actually spent quite some time at the scene of the operation, in spite of some military barracks formations not being too far away. So Ada has called in. Let me take Ada. Good morning to you, Ada. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ada calling from Los State.
Yes.
It's really unfortunate that this banditry is still going on. Well, I know the president is giving a marching order, you know. For me, what is happening has gone beyond marching order. That was exactly what Buhari was doing. Every time an incident happens, there's a marching order. I mean, we should go beyond that. We are still doing the same thing the same way, and you are expecting the same result. It cannot happen. Ban open grades nationwide and adopt ranking. Decentralize the police for effective community policing. This can be achieved by amending whatever is amended to take way for state police. Its advantages outweigh its disadvantages, if you ask me.
Yes, but Ada, you just mentioned grazing as a component, and we don't have that information, do we? We don't have that information that.
Also, that is part of the problem. Even on the plateau and Benue, all those places, it's part of the insecurity now. Are you going to separate it? Also, that is an issue. They're also killing people. You mean you've not heard that? What I mean is banning nationwide. Sometimes are bandits, you know, and the headers are seeing them as enemies. Let's talk about Nigeria.
Well, thank you very much, Ada, for calling in, showing a bit of righteous anger there, and indeed that's the way a lot of people feel. Maybe it's not really anger. Maybe it's better to say frustration, because one is frustrated that, look, children are in school and they're not safe, and that's a big problem. So really, it's frustrating. The government is doing all that it can, but the big question is whether it is enough, whether government actually has the scope of the problem. And as Ada said, it's not the first time that we've had a president order, immediate action and ordering that all of them be brought back safe. So to many, it's by way of comfort, because as she points out correctly, it's not the first time, and a presidential directive in this direction hasn't yielded all that much fruit in the past. Give me your comments on this, because one begins to wonder, so what else can the government do? The president is commander-in-chief, but we've also heard that these incidents, we have to look at them carefully and perhaps differently, in the sense that it's not a war with external factors. Give me your impression, Dr. Adam.
Thank you very much once again for this opportunity. And on that accountability around those pronouncements is what, if the military government decides to fulfill it, they fulfill it. If they don't fulfill it, nobody can come and hold them to account and say you've not fulfilled it. The second point is corruption, both financial corruption and sadly administrative corruption, where for some reasons, even where instructions are given, the person, for one reason or the other, it may be lack of capacity, it may be issues around meritocracy and all of that, would be unable to fulfill the actual mandate that he or she, or the direction or instruction that he has been given. Now, the third element is the inability of the coordinating body or the supervisory body to now take action against that individual who has been unable to carry out that responsibility. Now, I may be speaking high level, but I'll try to break it down to relate it to what happened in Zamfara.
Okay, but before you continue, Dr. Adamu, before you continue, when you say there's, it might also be as a result of the absence of a coordinating authority, isn't that what the NSA's, a job essentially is?
So when the coordinating elements within our national security sector are relatively about 4 of them. The one that most people know is, like you rightly indicated, the Office of the National Security Advisor. But to be fair to that office, it's an advisory office. It's not an operational office. I know there are, things here and there. The immediate past occupant of that office attempted to operationalize the office, and there was a lot of conversation within experts on whether that is the right thing to do or not.
Okay.
But statutorily, that office is an advisory office. Okay. So yes, it has coordinating elements. The other elements that have operational capability and that are coordinating elements within the security sector are the Ministers of Defense, Minister of Interior, Minister of Police Affairs, and then the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. In certain instances, again, I want to emphasize this, in certain instances, which is also debatable, the Chief of Staff to the President also has that power, which he derives from the President. So when we're speaking coordination, these are the 5 principal areas that have that responsibility for coordination. And like we always say, where there are too many captains in one ship, then the result is what we're seeing at the moment.
Because I was going to ask if it is easily possible for all of those coordinating authorities to actually be on this. It would be desirable to be on the same page, but whether operationally that is possible, I don't want to take away from what you're saying, but you're just explaining, I think, the complexity of these kind of matters, especially in the eyes and ears of the ordinary citizen who might not necessarily be a professional. He just knows that we have these instruments that are supposed to uphold orderliness, law and order, but you seem to be explaining to us some of the complexities.
Are strengthened and they are held, periodically like they should be held. At the moment, in my honest opinion, I have seen enough reason for the convening of at least the National Security Council. Within the last few days, certain occurrences have occurred that ordinarily that governing council should have been convened. A good example is the attack on our military forces in Niger State that led to the death of over 20 of them. We all saw on national TV during the burial. I don't know how many of us did not shed tears with the pictures that we saw. More recently, there was the dastardly, and I can't even find the right adjective to describe what happened in Rivers State when a DPO was decapitated and it was put on video and uploaded on social media. And then last week, it was in Imo State when our security forces from different organizations were ambushed. It was also videoed and put. All of these incidents deserve that type of attention. Particular ministry, which is the Ministry of Education. Now, that Ministry of Education in 2020,
okay, we're sorry the sound dropped there. And the command, both as the president and the commander-in-chief, that you go after the, I don't know what they are at the moment, kidnappers. Go after the bandits. And but Dr. Adamu seems to be explaining, yep, he's aware the president has so directed, so commanded. But Dr. Adamu was explaining how there are all these challenges, and that's what perhaps when he comes back on, he'll explain to us, why would the commander-in-chief, why would you throw everything, including the kitchen?
Solid manner. They are not, we all know the issues. So we all, the government of Zamfara State and the national government have to do something deliberate on those that are getting reaching out of those places. It's very simple. Cordon the area, fish out the people, cordon the area, manage it for 6 months, declare state of emergency in that place. We will all be safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for calling in, Aminu. And as you say rightly, there are law-abiding cattle herders too, cattle rearers, and as you say, there are they are businessmen. I think MACBAN is the organization that ties them all together. Indeed, the point that you made has been said. Although you can understand where the impression, even if you deem it to be,
it's bigger than that.
Okay.
Mining is a contributing element. But to go back to my earlier point around the incident that happened in the university in Gusau, I was making the point that that university is being supervised by the Ministry of Education as an example. And that ministry came out with a policy in 2021 around safe schools. It was a development that started with the Safe School Initiative to the Safe School Declaration that now culminated into that policy. And that policy is a beautiful document. In fact, anyone around the world agrees that that is the best way to go. In simple terms, that policy is meant to protect the school environment. There are about 6 elements to 7 elements in every good and effective security arrangement, starting from elements around detecting the threat, to denying the threat the ability to come to the school environment, to delaying it, to responding, to recovering, and several other components. That policy provides for it. And the beauty of the policy is that it divides the school environment into components. The external environment, the internal environment, and within the internal environment, you have the academic staff, you have the students or the pupils, as the case may be, you have the non-academic staff, you have contractors, you have the Parent-Teachers Association. Each and every one of these have roles to play within that policy. Point I'm trying to make is we have a beautiful policy that is yet to be implemented. So when the president issues a directive like the one he issued yesterday, and leaves his or her location to come and carry the attack, they should have detected the threat element. Indeed. Now, under the policy, the students would have been trained on what to do if there is an impending attack. Till now, almost 48 hours after the incident, a number has not been provided. Indeed. Of the persons who have been abducted, which tells me that there was no database or system in place to account for.
Excuse my interrupting you. I'm sorry. We'll come right back to this point that you are making. Thank you very much for checking it off for us. Got to go on a break. We'll be right back. Do stay with us, please. We'll include your calls when we come back as well.
Coming up in the month of September. On the 5th is International Day of Charity, while the 7th of September is International Day of Police Cooperation. The 8th is International Literacy Day. Also on the 8th is 1-year remembrance of Queen Elizabeth II's death. 10th September is World Suicide Prevention Day. On the same day is 1-year anniversary of when Prince Charles was proclaimed king. On the 11th of September, it's 22 years after the World Trade Center was attacked by terrorists in the United States in 2001. 15th September is International Day of Democracy, while the 16th is International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer. 21st September, International Day of Peace. and 23rd is dedicated as International Day of Sign Languages. 27th September is set aside as World Tourism Day, and 28th is World Maritime Day. On the 29th is International Day of Awareness of Food Loss and Waste. Stay tuned to TVC News as we bring you reports and analysis of these events. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back. And this Monday morning, unfortunately, we're looking at the Nigerian insecurity situation. Arawa Consultative Forum has just called for the eradication of this very blight. And our guest is Dr. Kabir Adamu, who is a security expert, and he's just been explaining to us how there are a number of, in fact, there was a failure of policy, and several aspects that he was enumerating to us. Some of it had failed. And he'd also cautioned that we need to be careful because one or two callers have, actually joined the program earlier. It's not, he thinks it's an oversimplification to talk about the mining situation in Zamfara and all that that has brought along. He also, said the same thing in terms of a guest that had called in, I think our first caller, who had spoken about, sorting out the cattle herders. In fact, it's not just he himself that said that. Another caller had, said that the herders are legitimate businessmen, and so they feel scapegoated if every time you bring them into the conversation. So, Dr. Adamu, thank you indeed for continuing with us. And let me also thank Chidi in Kafanchan, who has been waiting to join us. Good morning to you, Mr. Chidi.
Good morning, Uncle.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead now, please.
How is the weekend?
Very well, thank you.
Yes, my take over the topic on discussion. First and foremost, I wish to sympathize with the government and people of Zamfara State and several other states where the insecure situation is really having dangerous impact. As a matter of fact, it is regrettable that at this point in time, our country is being bedeviled with different dimensions of insecure situations. I would like to therefore call on the President, Tinubu-led administration, to pay a very important attention to security. Because in a situation where we want foreign investors, just like the good speech he made at the UNGA Assembly, which will attract, where we look to attracting investors from outside Nigeria. If Nigeria will be considered an insecure place, in other words, we are by ourselves chasing away potential investors. So I want this government to look critically, use kinetic and non-kinetic approach in order to bring this insecurity situation to a manageable extent. Thank you very much, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chidi. Calling in from Kafanchan there. Back to you, Dr. Adamu. It's frustrating, and you were sort of explaining how we come to be where we are now. What I mean by it's frustrating is that non-state actors seem to, at will, be able to get up and show us that there are no pushovers. And this is a problem. I would have thought that that should be at the very, very top of whatever the policy was, that people can't just get up and thumb their nose at all the state machinery, state power, and all of that. So that's where we are now, Dr. Adamu. You were explaining that you were sort of itemizing aspects. You said all, as far as you're concerned, almost all of the aspects of our policy, policy against banditry, all of it would have seemed to have failed.
Yes, thank you. Even though I was being specific regarding the implementation of the safe schools
yes,
policy,
especially as it relates to that school, yes, and it being under the Ministry of Education.
Exactly. So, but we have to also be very specific. That's why I started by laying the background. Now, even though the custodian ministry is Ministry of Education, it does not have a single troop at its disposal. which means it has to depend on the security ministries, departments, and agencies to fulfill the mandate or the aspirations as specified in that policy. And that brings us to the area of collaboration, coordination, and cooperation. And Mr. President has repeated that. In fact, it was one of the first things he reiterated. If I remember his inaugural meeting with the security chiefs, he emphasized this point around collaboration. So we're going back to my earlier statement around the security structure and security sector governance, where presidential directives, such as the need for collaboration, will have to be itemized and implemented with the mindset of governance. It's not just in, for instance, budgetary areas that you approach them with that governance. In security, too, we need to approach it with governance. So when there is a policy in place that requires collaboration and cooperation, how are ensuring that that collaboration and cooperation is achieved? Number one, the role of the security governance structure, the National Security Council that I talked about, the role of the coordinating elements within the national security sector. Do we have a mechanism in place at the moment that is able to pick that policy and say we're at 25% implementation or 15% implementation?
Do you think we have any such mechanism, Doctor?
It's being brought up at the moment, and there is a unit in the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation called the CDCU, the Central Delivery Coordinating Unit. This is one of the legacies of the Buhari administration that we need to applaud that government for. Through the passage of Executive Order 13, they were able to entrench that process within our governance structures. So the CDCU will hopefully, in the coming days, reach a stage where a performance bond will be signed between the president and the ministers for the achievement of his priority areas, which includes security. I don't think it would be fair just to speak on the point made by the caller from Kafanchan. The president has prioritized security. I doubt if there is any sector that he has prioritized beyond security, maybe the economy, which, I mean, they took CME's twins, they go hand in hand. The first meetings he held was on security. He also held meetings around economy, but then he came back to security, and they've been going hand in hand. I also to use this opportunity to remind us of the presidential agenda of security. If you pick the Renewed Hope document, which is publicly available, and I'm sad, Uncle Yori, I'm very emphatic around this point. I'm sad that not enough effort is being done by the communications arm of the government to make these points known to the people. I have picked that document, and I agree, as a professional who has almost 30 years experience in security sector in Nigeria, I am very happy with the aspirations mentioned in that document, and I'll quickly read them out, 7 of them.
Okay.
Number 1, the president wants to bolster our security forces. In other words, look at their numbers, look at their capacity, and look at their capability. Number 2, he wants to redefine military doctrine and practice, to make military doctrine and practices consistent with our requirements of the modern day security aspirations in Nigeria. Very noble. Number 3, he wants to secure critical national infrastructure. That is one of the things that is affecting this country. We have an OPEC quota that we've not been able to meet because we've not been able to secure our critical national infrastructure.
Oh, dear. I think the audio seems to be coming in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back. Yes. Maybe you could just finish what you were saying, because I have a call on the line.
The fourth point is peaceful communities, secure borders, and safe forest. Now that last point, safe forest, I cannot overemphasize it. The reason why the Zamfara abduction happened is because there was an unsafe forest where bandits were able to hide, come out and abduct our students and go back into that forest. So the president wants to secure those forests. Number 5, he wants to have an integrated identity database. And he has already started that process by moving NIMSI to Ministry of Interior. So we're hoping that in the coming days, we'll see a harmonization of the existing database. A very good and noble aspiration. Number 6, international collaboration. And he's already doing that. He's gone to Pakistan, or rather India. He's also gone to Dubai. He has entered agreements for supporting, in one instance, 40% for local production of our weaponry requirement. And then the last one is to reposition the police, to make the police take up its role in internal policing documents. So I doubt if any Nigerian would contest the at these 7 aspirations. The meat of the matter is in the implementation. How are these 7 aspirations going to be implemented? And
okay, Doctor. Doctor, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for giving us that brief itemization. But Mr. George in Ikeja has called in. Good morning to you, Mr. George. Please go ahead now.
Yes, thank you, Uncle Yori. Good morning, and good morning to the guest.
Yes.
Uncle Yori, I think this issue of banditry has gone beyond the herdsmen level. Herdsmen cannot be the type that will set up camps and have arms that can bring down a place. Those ones cannot be herdsmen. This banditry thing, it's interesting that the ACF, I guess you mean Arewa Consultative Forum, are also concerned about the banditry going on. But we need their help too. The government needs their help, because we know that there were instances where some traditional rulers were giving titles to some of these bandit leaders. That tells me that some of them know the bandits and their leaders, and they know those who are, those bandits living in their communities. They should also take it upon themselves to help the government with intelligence on how to get rid of this menace. I agree with Chidi from Kafanchan that if we do not address this matter decisively, we are asking for investors to come in. On the other hand, if we are not able to address this, constructively, we would have been indirectly, discouraging the investors. Nobody wants to invest in a country that is not safe. That's what I'm saying. The military needs to step up their game. We are seeing some of the results they are bringing, but they need to do more and strategize the more. That's the way I see it.
All right,
Thank you.
then. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. And Dr. Kabir Adam, let me bring in the other aspect. I mean, thank you very much so far. The human angle, if you want, to all of these. I mean, those children, those are daughters, sisters, of people. And you had said one of the sort of the weaknesses of the situation, as you saw it, was that the location of the school itself was, the proximity. It was easy, relatively easy. Now, what is the part that parents themselves can actually, contribute to this whole process? Because you can imagine a situation where parents will begin to look at the situation, look at where a school is situated, and it doesn't matter what you say, we refuse to send their children to that place if it is not right next door to a barracks or that kind of a thing. I mean, yes, I'm overstating it slightly, but surely you can get because you just itemized that, well, unfortunately, the situation where that school is situated didn't help matters.
So, I mentioned earlier on that there is a rule for the Parent-Teachers Association under the national policy on safe schools. I can't recall the exact name of that policy, but it's something around Safe and Secure Schools 2021. There is a rule for Parent-Teachers Association in that policy. But in practical terms, what can parents do? Number one, have access to that document. It's a publicly available document. And ask yourself, the school where you are taking your kids to, have they implemented, what level of implementation of that policy have they done? In fact...
Okay, so it's gone again, but it will be back. But where you got to gives us a bit to be able to talk about. Parents themselves have the responsibility to access that document and decide, it seems to be the conclusion that they can get from perusing that document, whether or not it is safe to send their children or wards to such schools.
Yes, exactly. That's the number one step, to conclude, answer the question whether the school is safe. In the case of the university in Zamfara, even to a casual observer, if you've been to that school, you know that it is vulnerable. For the simple reason that it's located outside the city center on a road close to a forested area where over the period there have been incidents of abduction, both within the community and then around the community. So it was just a matter of time. In terms of security deployment within the school, even though that's difficult to determine, most parents cannot do that. But just engaging, for instance, the police or the military to ask them if they have enough personnel in that location will answer the question. And I can tell you from my vantage point that the case was there was not enough deployment. Professionally speaking, if you are protecting one individual from, let's say, someone who is holding one AK-47, the professional requirement is that there should be at least 4 to 8 persons to protect that one individual. So it's not that easy, Uncle Yori. You have a threat element that has something more sophisticated than an AK-47. So the best thing, and I want to emphasize this word, the best thing is not to wait for that threat element to attack. Okay. Go after the threat element and uproot that threat element from his or her base so that that threat element is, in military terms, neutralized.
And, well, exactly. Now that you said it, it sort of will occur to everybody. It's not cheap and it's not easy to do, as you've just explained, that if there's only one AK-47 wielding, deviant, the amount of security needed to sort of be able to contain that situation, it goes to show us. And we've heard that, funds are not limitless, and what is available is so little that it spreads so thin. So it then becomes almost like a game of chess, where the authorities have to determine where should I, concentrate on now, just as you're trying to outwit them and trying to second guess them as to where they might think is vulnerable and where they might strike. So it all is a very, very complex situation. Yet Nigeria cannot shut down. Nigeria cannot shut down because people have mentioned the whole world is watching this as well. They're looking at the invitation of the president to come into Nigeria. We're ready. We're not lazy and all of that. But they're also going to be asking, are you safe as well? Never mind the economy. Are you safe? Reverend Dominic, please join in the conversation. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Chief Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to erudite
Dr. Adamu,
Professor, the security expert. He has spoken well. Well, Yori, do you know my pain? My pain is the way Mr. President has carried the office of presidency to sell Nigeria in the international community. Well said, well positioned. But inside Nigeria, Yori, there's a sabotage here. Let me give you one. Let me start from my own side, Southeast. Do you know, it is now we know, it was not Hausa herdsmen that was doing the kidnapping. It was our brothers. Let me put it this way. This makes me a dangerous fish. It was our brothers who, in quotes, fighting for freedom, will go and kidnap, and they say it is a herdsman. I've been saying this always. We must look inside. I've read the document your guests have read about security, the way these wonderful presidents have lined it up. But that document will not see the light of the day. If we don't come down to ourselves to tell ourselves the truth, how do we stop this security in our own communities? There's a young man that threatened everybody in the country, and he made the threat last week and carried out by killing some soldiers and displayed their guns on Facebook. What is the meaning of need? That nobody will make a call in Nigeria again without me trusting him. This young man made the threat last week, carried it out, showed the guns of this young man he killed, and celebrated it on Facebook. What was the sin of Mr. President, last president, Buhari, that Twitter yanked him off? There's one in New Zealand, Simon Ebbe, who will use Facebook and threaten the whole state.
Finland.
Finland. In Finland. And they will still open Facebook for him, Instagram for him. What was the sin of Buhari when they stopped him? And look at what people are doing to us. No matter the kind of good your Finland. No matter the kind of good government Mr. President and the touch of Mr. President, as long as we don't handle this insecurity, nobody will invade the nation in this manner. Yes, you can commit crime in America, but you cannot kill a sheriff. You cannot kill a soldier and still post it and picture it on Facebook. This one says we must our security must and get them destroyed so we can have a.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend Dominic, for calling in. We lost it, but we got enough. So, Dr. Kabir Adamu, it's a pathetic situation, but maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't be too down in the dumps. But you know what I mean, because with children, one unfortunately does get that way a bit. These are children, and we can't even guarantee their security. Not for not because people don't care. But you did also say that it seemed like you had an issue with the the publicity arm of government. You had a quarrel with them as well, that they weren't doing enough to put out information in there. Quite frankly, we just need all the help we can get because non-state actors are running rings around our institutions, and the institutions themselves are restraining themselves. They can't go out with all the force at their disposal. So nobody should think that Nigeria does not have the capability to do this or that. But these are also Nigerians. That also complicates matters, does it?
No, it does. One of the aspirations as contained in the Renewed Hope document is to win the hearts and minds of the people. And I mean, you just by a measure of the colors that you've met, I think we wouldn't be wrong if we describe that most of them are either frustrated or are,
just exasperated. See, what else?
Exactly. And then the other element is the lack of confidence, really. There's a presidential directive. In other climes, where there is a presidential directive, you are rest assured that
yes.
Will be met. But in our own case, people are still skeptical. And so that is where strategic communication needs to come in. How many people?
Well, it's unfortunate that the sound is doing this to us, but I think we're able to follow because of the clarity of your presentation, Dr. Kabir Adamu. In our situation here, people, Ada said it at the very top, and many other contributors have said it, that we've heard this before, and I don't know. Well, the communication arm of government is also listening to this. They'll be able to evaluate what you are saying and maybe look at it from the point of view of, can we do a lot more? Can we do much more in terms of, informing the people? But whether that information will lead to safety, because at the end of the day, we want safety in society generally, but particularly so when they're hitting us at our soft underbelly, schools, universities. These are soft targets that we can't sort of police. So it's a frustrating thing, but I'm going to have to leave it here. And trusting Dr. Kabir Adamu that you've shone a light on the situation, especially the difficulty of this situation. And maybe people can be a bit more, I don't know how understanding you can be when your daughter is in danger of being abducted, but at least people need to know what the lie of the ground is. And it seems to me that we're in a dire situation if the commander-in-chief gives an order and sometimes that order goes unexecuted for a number of reasons that you have explained. I'm going to have to leave it here, Dr. Adamu, but thank you very much, Dr. Kabir Adamu, for coming on. Dr. Adamu is Managing Director of Beacon Consulting Limited. It's an enterprise security, risk management, and intelligence firm in Nigeria and the Sahel region. Once more, thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Okay, we're going to have to leave it there this time, but it's a long conversation, so we're definitely going to be addressing it again. I am Yori Folarin. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. Bye-bye for now.
DSTV. All the goals, all the clashes, all the moments. all of Rashford, Salah, and Saka. All in the language of your choice, all in HD. Available on all these bouquets to choose from. To watch on all these devices, stay connected for all the action. Get DSTV with an HD decoder plus dish plus 1 month confirmed for 18,500 naira. It's the Premier League, all on DSTV.
Our new toothpaste, Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection.
Why are we changing our toothpaste?
Because with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, I can be sure your teeth are cavity-free.
When you brush daily with Colgate Maximum Cavity Protection, its expert formula locks natural calcium in our teeth and helps protect them from cavity. Colgate is the world's most chosen toothpaste.
Colgate locks calcium in,
Keeps cavities out!
The new Colgate Mini Pack is now available at just 300 naira.
The following is a paid presentation by ShopX TV. Do you struggle with having an active and healthy lifestyle due to your busy schedule? Do you find it difficult to make it to the gym? You want to improve your overall health, but don't know where and how to start? Medical experts agree that walking, running, and jogging are amongst the best ways to stay fit and enjoy a great active and healthy lifestyle. What if there was a convenient and affordable way to improve your health, improve your mood, and lose weight right in your own home? Introducing the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill, the compact foldable treadmill that makes being active and losing weight fast and easy. Just unfold it and walk, jog, or run while you watch your favorite programs on TV. And when you're done, just fold it and store it away. Now that's convenience. The secret is its advanced design that houses a 1 horsepower motor that is twice the size of most treadmills, packed into a nice compact unit, powering every step you take. You get the SportX Digital Compact Treadmill System complete with a rugged commercial-grade ultra-durable traction belt, large LCD multifunctional display that displays speed, time, distance, calories, and has 12 different exercise programs, as well as a magnetic safety key for added security.
The SportX treadmill has really helped me get back in shape after childbirth. I love it because it's compact and can fit anywhere in the house. And when I'm done, I fold and put it away. Easy peasy.
This is the best piece of equipment for people like me who want to stay active without leaving the home. I simply unfold it and use it while I watch my favorite program on TV.
TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news. At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
There is always more to a story than the scrimmage headline.
And welcome to TVC News at 12. We begin in Abuja, where there was a fire outbreak at the Supreme Court. The fire incident started at about 8 a.m. from the Justice's chamber, specifically from Chamber 5 on the 4th floor. The Supreme Court Fire Service section managed to put out the fire, and security personnel were on ground to ensure law and order. Chambers of the Justices are located behind the courtroom of the Apex Court. Chamber 5 of the court is occupied by Justice Muhammad Salawa. 2 other officers, according to sources, were also affected by the fire, which was a result of an electric spark. Here in Lagos, the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Lagos is set to deliver judgment in the cases challenging the election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The governorship candidates of the Labour Party, Gbadebo Revival, and Olajide Adediran of the People's Democratic Party filed separate petitions over the outcome of the 18th of March election. Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat is present as parties and council gather at the Governorship Election Petition Tribunal in Ikeja. Justice Aromashom is heading the tribunal. The tribunal had heard final written addresses of all the council in the matters on the 12th of August. The Independent National Electoral Commission had declared Governor Sanwo-Olu of the APC winner with 762,134 votes. Also in Lagos, 3 victims have been rescued at the Abalti Barak end of the Ojuelegba Bridge in Surulere. This was after a 40-foot container trailer accidentally crashed on a car while ascending the bridge on Sunday night. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service and other state emergency responders rescued occupants of the car while the trailer driver and assistant escaped. The victims are now being attended to at the Lagos State Accident and Trauma Center after being administered first aid on the spot of the accident. And we turn attention to Benue State, where Governor Hassan Thalia has described as condemnable and unacceptable the kidnap of the Commissioner for Information, Culture and Tourism, Matthew Abo, and the former chairman of Ukum Local Government Area, Iowashima Eruka. Mr. Abo was kidnapped by unknown gunmen in his Sankara home at about 8 p.m. on Sunday, while Mr. Eruka was taken away by a yet-to-be-identified gunman on Saturday. The kidnappers have made contact with the family of Mr. Eruka, but the commissioner's family is yet to receive any information. Governor Ali assured that he has detailed security agencies to immediately commence operations to ensure the safe release of the victims. He also asked the people of the state to remain calm. I have joining me now the CEO of Security Watch Africa, Patrick Egbambo, to talk more about these security situations. Thank you for joining us on TVC News at this time. From Zamfara to Benue, the issue of kidnapping seems not to be abating. Why is this so?
Yeah, thank you. It's really sad that we are still going around the circle. It's so because I think we believed for some weeks or some months now that we had succeeded in taking care of these kidnappers, bandits, and unknown government, or whatever they are called. But you see, security challenge is very fluid. As you think you are succeeding, it's coming up again because very, very dynamic and all that. So it's sad that our young ladies, our young girls are being taken away again in large numbers. But following the directive by Mr. President, even before Mr. President gave the directive, the Operation Hardening Jaji has been intensifying efforts to ensure that those areas are safe.
Indeed, Mr. Agbambo, indeed. And, that president's speech, a very strong statement, directive to security agencies to ensure the safe release of these abducted individuals. And we know that already some success is being recorded in that regard. So would you say that, that has added some level of seriousness to the issue and gotten everyone on their toes working?
Yes, but you see, the security forces are being careful. They are being careful because you can't carry out outright offensive against these bandits when these girls are in their captive. They are like pawns now. They could be used, put on the line, and instead of rescuing them alive, sadly we may get their dead bodies. So the security forces have to take it methodically and be careful with what is being done. That is what is happening. But there are some factors that really need to look at. Taking the Gusau incident particularly, that school where it's located is very, very inviting. Then the person becomes a target of his fellow bandits. So it's been that has been discouraging some of them from coming out. So it has to be a more of a holistic approach, looking at how the issue of Niger Delta was handled and how the issue of the Northeast situation was handled. So I believe that we need to re-strategize on how to get these people to surrender their arms and granted amnesty. But other than that, there are other soft solutions that has to be intensified, and it has to be done urgently.
Urgently indeed. CEO Security Watch Africa, Patrick Egbambu, thank you for talking to us on TVC News at 12.
Thank you so much.
Staying with security now, the Commander Corps of Artillery of the Nigerian Army, Major General Marcus Kanye, has asked officers to exhibit high level of discipline, courage, and professionalism in the discharge of their duties. He made the appeal during his familiarization visit to Alamala Barracks in Abeokuta, Ogun State. He commended the troops for their efforts, but wants officers to demonstrate high level of professionalism with the promise that the Army authorities will provide necessary equipment for the operations and welfare.
If you bring out the catchwords in the Chief of Army Staff's command philosophy, he talks of a well-trained